Hey guys, God bless. I've been working on this one a while. A lot of stuff in here that's going to be. Well, we'll get to that at the end. It's going to be at the end of the video. Um, Grab some popcorn, put the kids to bed. Um, Enjoy. I hope you enjoy. Um, let's get started. Okay, we're continuing with Nimrod and who he is and what exactly is going on. I'll tell you a story here at the beginning. Um, why did we go to war with Iraq? Okay. According to the Epic of Gilgamesh, in this area known as Uruk is the famous area of Babylon, and of course Nimrod. Okay. Um, have you ever really wondered the real purpose on why we went to war? There was always those rumors floating around of what's going on. Uh, Weapons of mass destruction. It just didn't seem right. It just didn't set well. Going to war over there. Yeah, Osama or Hussein's a dictator and he was killing the Kurds. Even if we believe that, which could be very possible, and I talked to Kurds over there when I was over there. Um, Even if we believe that, there's several dictators in this world that need to go. Why him? Was it for oil? Was it for money? I think it was a little more than that. We get our oil from Saudi Arabia. We don't get our oil from Iraq. Okay. Um, so anyway, let's check this out. Hindsight's always 2020, even in the spiritual realm. I remember myself as a young man. I was a infantry platoon sergeant in the 101st Airborne Division and going to war over in Iraq. It was 2005. Arrived there in 2005. What I observed was complete destruction. I remember thinking to myself, how is this going to take? I mean, this is a mess. There was trash everywhere, dead animals, wrecked roads, buildings, towers, fallen, sewers, people dumping sewage in the middle of an open field. It stunk. It was just, you name it, it was demolished. The power was out all the time. Um, Now, I wasn't saved at this point in my time in my life. And the Army has a way of indoctrinating your mind into fighting and winning and supporting your country and God bless the USA. Just there's very few, and I'm not a political person, definitely not anymore. But there's a lot more Republicans, that are in the military. And if you're a Democrat in the military, you kind of get looked down upon. So the whole, red, white, and blue, apple pie Chevrolet, um, was kind of the way it was. Supporting the company's mission, the country's mission. Okay, I thought something wasn't right here, and it really struck my mind. I'm gonna kind of get off the script here, but when it really struck my mind, there was in a bombing in downtown Kirkuk. 5 car bombs go off, and I show up like right after, and I saw probably the most horrific thing in my life at that point. But I remember like people were trying to crowd the streets inside. We're trying to keep them out, and I remember this old man. He had to be 70 something years old, and I'm kind of like not pushing him away. He's 70 something years old, but I'm just kind of like, hey, get back. And he starts grabbing my rifle in my that are in my head. It's in my hands, and he's grabbing it like with all his strength. Like get out of my country. And I remember thinking like, who are we? Who are we here? And, I'm here to save you. No, it was much deeper than that, guys, whether we want to believe it or not. And I remember thinking at that point something wasn't right here. The whole motive, everything seemed wrong. There's Kurdish freedom fighters there. We barely gave them any support. Um, if you look back before Saddam and all that, I mean, it was a beautiful state. It was a beautiful country. Back in the '70s, you Google pictures on the internet of Iraq. It was really nice. I remember seeing some of the places I've been in the images, and I'm like, wow, totally different. Um, were we looking for weapons of mass destruction? How many of you know how large a WMD can be? They come in different sizes, many different calibers. The average infantryman would have no clue how big these things are. Most wouldn't. Okay, I, on the other hand, was not always infantry. Um, Many years ago, I worked in Germany in the 1980s, And in Germany, I happened to work on a physical security site that had weapons of mass destruction there. And we just secured them. It was a very, very secure compound. And very rarely did I see them, but I did see them. And we'd have to move these weapons for routine maintenance. This would require us to retrieve an item from a bunker and move it by forklift. We'd put like a security perimeter around it of guys. And what was funny is when we moved these things, um, we always had to cover our name tapes on our uniforms or put a poncho over us to obscure our identity. The rumor, around the barracks was that satellites were watching us from Russia, so we had to be careful of our identity. The Red Army faction terrorist group was real huge back then, and people like myself were considered targets, at bars or whatever. Um, One night in particular, okay, this is kind of a funny story. One night in particular, we had snow, and it snowed several inches, 4 or 5 inches. In the physical security site, some of the guys decided to have some fun. I may or may not have been on this little escapade. No, I wasn't on it, but it was funny. Have you ever made in fresh snow? Have you ever walked and made your name? As a kid, and you kind of look at your name, and everyone knows you were there, whatever. Well, these guys decided to write F Russia, and they wrote it in huge letters, obviously by walking all around this compound. And that night, our company commander received a call from the Pentagon that somebody very high in the chain of command, the order was to remove said expletive in a very quick manner. And I think you get the point. Back to Iraq, when a unit gets an order to seize, search, or occupy, okay, a piece of terrain, they do just that. Okay, nothing goes unturned. Everything is systematically searched. Of course, we never found any weapons of mass destruction, and I'm convinced that they didn't have them. If they had them, we would have found them. We found Hussein hiding in a hole. If you don't think we can find weapons of mass destruction, are about the size of a coffin. We called them coffins. Okay, they're big, and they're bigger than that. That's just the size we had. Now, when a military unit goes in, they secure the area. They close off all in and out going into the area. Picture a city block. Put soldiers on all four corners. No one goes in, no one leaves. And then you have a team go in and they start searching. And they start searching systematically. If those things were there, we would have found them. We would have found them. There's no way, with the technology we have today, and this was back in the 80s, okay, when they did this. With the technology we have today, there's no way that those things got away. Absolutely no way. There were no weapons. We were there for another reason. One, to make money, and two, I believe, to find a body. Either a body or ancient secrets that's located in Uruk, which is Babylon. This isn't about one of my favorite movies, Stand By Me, where the kids go to find a body. This is about finding a body to clone a future god Nephilim leader named Nimrod. Now, Revelation 17:7. He shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. He shall dwell on the earth, and those who wonder, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. And they behold that the beast that was, and is not, but yet is. He was dead. He was alive. He was dead, and here he is. The abusos, the abyss, the deep, the bottomless pit. Receptacle of the dead, especially the abode of demons. Jesus, which is the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end, the one who is, who was, and thank God, who is to come. Okay, I'm going to go through this kind of fast, but I want you to take away something. I want you to understand that there's possibly two books, the Book of Life and the Lamb's Book of Life. The Bible is specific. Most of us are comfortable with the Lamb's Book of Life. We know that's a book of salvation. But what about a book of life? What about a book of God's creations? The Lamb's Book of Life, whenever it's mentioned, is specifically mentioned as the Lamb's Book of Life. And it's only mentioned in the New Testament because Jesus has come at this point. Okay? And all that dwell in the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundations of the world. And they shall bring glory and honor unto the nations of it, and there shall be no wise enter into it, that defileth, whether whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie. But they are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Then you have the Book of Life. Those found not written in the Book of Life were cast into the lake of fire. That's one sentence. There's no question about what's going on here. Those not written in the Book of Life were cast in the lake of fire. Let them be blotted out of the book of the living and not written with the righteous. The righteous are written where? Probably in the Lamb's Book of Life. The book of the living, and this incidentally, if you look at this chapter right here, 69:27, is about those with the mark of the beast. So what I'm thinking is, and I can go there, but this is going to be a long video. But so take a look at this. It talks about their eyes being covered and different things. You know it's about the mark of the beast. What's happened is these people that were alive, all right, book of the living, have taken the mark and they will be blotted out. In other words, they're dead to God at that point. When they take the mark, they're dead to God, which is the book of the living. Okay? Intended creations. Now they've become an abomination. All right? Let's go there real quick. Okay, so this is 69 right here, Psalm 69. And it's not all about the mark. Okay, some of it is. Let their eyes be darkened. Okay, that's these visors that these people are going to wear. Some people have seen this or not. Basically, it's going to be an altered reality. Make their loins continually shake. I had dreams where the mark made people much more sexually active. Where they actually were like, oh, this is much better, sex is better, everything's better. They're going to have a lot more rapes, a lot more sexual assaults, all those things. Pour out thy indignation upon them. That's what's going to happen. They're going to have this cup of wrath. Let their habitation be desolate, their bodies. There's no longer going to be a spirit of life in them. Let none of them dwell in their tents. That's their skin, their body. This mark is going to take their person over. So anyway, this is what I think that means exactly. Okay, blotted out from the book of the living. Okay, something I want to address real quick. There was a question, and a very good question. Satan has many plans to corrupt us from the Father. He has a plan to mark us, to change us to abominations. He has a cloning plan, right? He also has these clones in key position to influence our youth, our government, our medical, our food, everything. As we discussed, there's no limit except what God's limited him on, where Satan can put his minions, these clones. With that, I had a question pop up on one of my videos. So Satan and Eve had Cain, and the fallen angels had relations with women that made Nephilim, giants. How did the giants and infections continue after the beginning of Noah? So we had a clean slate with Noah. And what went wrong? As I discussed with Ham and Noah in the last video, we know based upon the Jewish idiom that Ham had sex with Noah's wife, which is an abomination. Okay? Nephilim were known as abominations. Those acts the Lord despises are called abominations. What will happen is the more abominations that are accumulated, the worse and worse it gets. As Satan's seed becomes accumulating, just like the Father told Cain, do well and that will be accepted. If not, sin lies at the door. Then it's going to accumulate. Consider this passage of Jasher. Notwithstanding this, Nimrod did not return to the Lord, and he continued wickedness and teaching wickedness to the sons of men. Mardon, the son, was worse than the father, and continued to add to the abominations of the father. And he causes the sons of men to sin. Therefore it is said, From wicketh goeth forth wickedness. It's accumulating factor. Okay, so these are the Hebrew and Greek words for sin and abomination. Hebrew, sin, shata, means to err, to miss the mark, to be mistaken, to make an error, okay? Another word for it is pesha, which means to transgress or rebel from God's intended way for your life. Greek, um, harmishra, is to be in a snare, to be without a snare and to miss, to wander from the path, unrighteousness, to go wrong, to wander from the law. They have fallen from grace and missed the mark of God's higher calling. That's this verse here, Philippians 3:14. I press on towards the mark for the prize of the higher calling of God in Jesus Christ. Hebrew word for abomination means a disgusting thing, a thing of wickedness, a bore, a foul thing, detestable thing, stink, smell, the thing of wickedness, stink to God's nostrils. I think what we're seeing here is that sin is missing God's mark, is calling for us to err. Of course, God doesn't embrace sin, but I think I can safely say it's expected until you can be sanctified, which is the process that only Jesus and the Father can do. The mark you are trying to achieve is, just like Jesus said, go and sin no more. An abomination, on the other hand, you completely are losing the Father's sight. What you're doing is causing him to turn his nose and face from you. Of course, this opens the door wide open for other abominable acts to further accumulate in your life, turning you over to the enemy. It's just like that guy that starts off with, maybe pornography, the Playboy magazine, whatever. And then it accumulates to something much more deviant, much more horrible, much more worse, all right, than the act of uh, just what he was doing before. So if you don't know it, Abram, before he was Abraham and had Isaac, um, was what was he? I apologize. I had to think for a second. Okay, Abraham's dad was a general under Nimrod. Okay, however, Abraham did not play into Nimrod's junk. Okay, um, Nimrod goes and tells the king basically, "You're on the wrong path, dude. And you're about ready to get the hammer." And what happens is Nimrod puts Abraham in prison. He puts him in prison for 10 days, which I thought this was neat because in Revelation we find two churches that find favor with the Lord, which go along with the study of the two churches, two women in Revelation 12. Okay? To the angel in the church of Smyrna write these things, and you go on. Fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison that you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation also 10 days. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. So what he's saying essentially is, it's just a parallel I found here. He also throws Nimrod also throws Abraham into the fiery furnace. And, I'm not going to read these, but basically he gets thrown into this fiery furnace for days. And he's in there, and the only thing that burns on him are the rags that were bounding his hands together. And then they throw in Haran, who's his brother, and he's killed. And as these servants try to come and get Abraham out, just like in Nebuchadnezzar's furnace, they're killed trying to get Abraham out. So eventually, not Nebuchadnezzar, but eventually Nimrod's like, "Hey, can you tell your God to knock it off so we can get you out of the furnace?" So I just thought that was an interesting comparison between Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who were in the fiery furnace. Um, we have Nebuchadnezzar. God's really good at giving us several examples of what to expect. And he does that through history. We know the end time Antichrist or end time beast is going to be like Nimrod and Nebuchadnezzar because of the things they've done in parallel. So just something really interesting there. According to the book of Jasher, organized 3 teams to fight God, each with a special mission to complete the tower. He wanted to kill God and set up a one world system as God himself. And this is the excerpt. All these people and all the families divided themselves in 3 parts. We shall ascend into heaven, fight against him. Then we shall ascend into heaven, find a place for our own gods. There we will serve them. And the third said, we will ascend into heaven and smite him with bows and arrows and spears. I'm sure God was just like, you've got to be kidding me. The tower wasn't just a thing of height to reach into heaven. It was an actual stargate, is what it was. It was a stargate to channel the fallen, to um, overtake heaven, and it's exactly what we're doing today with CERN. We already have a modern day Tower of Babel. Why do the heathen rage and imagine a vain thing? This vain thing is tearing the veil between our physical realm and the spiritual realm. And of course, you can see the 666 on CERN. Most of you know about CERN. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I'm going to play a little video clip it here in just a second. But it's over in Switzerland, France area. It's essentially what they're trying to do is smash these particles to get the gate open uh, to, um, to open the veil, to tear the veil. Is essentially what they want to do. But it's really interesting here. You have CERN, which comes from the word Cicernos, which means the horned god. Okay, um, Hern the hunter. Okay, we know that Nimrod was a great hunter. So we have all these little um, uh, I'm sorry, little similarities here that reflect back to, of course, Satan. This goes back, even the picture, with the horn on his head. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three horns, and the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, this horn were eyes, the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. All right, so that's what they're trying to do. The horned god trying to bring the little horn into power, essentially, is what I want to highlight here. And one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great, toward the southeast and towards the pleasant land, which of course is going to be Israel. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And this is the stuff they're doing in Switzerland, guys. This is the junk they're doing to try to bring the beast forward, the horned god. Okay, the little horn. Of course, here's an Aztec, a Mayan calendar. Well, it's not a calendar, but a Mayan glyph with CERN, of course. Okay, I'm gonna play this video real quick.
Technological device, occult technology. We prove that from Scripture. People say, well, what Scripture? Well, just go to the book of Jude, where in the book of Jude, God gives us permission to look at the extra biblical book of Enoch, which talks about the fallen angels descending upon Mount Hermon and giving mankind technology and science. Normally, we wouldn't take Enoch that seriously, but when Jude tells us we can do it, we do it. So the Tower of Babel was an interdimensional portal or stargate built by Nimrod that allowed for the entrance of extra dimensional beings into the earth. Now, that's critical. At the core of Mystery Babylon is the interspecies breeding of fallen angel and human women. But let's just put that on the shelf for a moment. We also have to understand, and we can only understand it when science and technology brought mankind to the place of understanding it, that the fall of Noah, of the flood of Noah, which preceded the building of the Tower of Babel, the only way you can really understand the flood of Noah is to understand that the flood of Noah is a DNA digital holographic event with a targeted DNA judgment. Unless you get that, you are clueless in understanding the Genesis account of the flood. It's all about genetics. That's why God wipes out the animal species. He doesn't hate animals. And so people say, well, it's just about the wickedness of mankind. Well, if the flood of Noah is just about the wickedness of mankind, then why did God destroy all the animals? Then the ark, 2 by 2 of the animal species for reproduction, and Noah and his sons' wives, and they replenished the earth.
Okay, I just want to make sure you guys understood that Tower of Babel is not just about reaching heaven. It's a portal, and that's exactly what we're doing, trying to bring all this wickedness junk into effect so that they can release their king, which would be the Revelation 9:11 king. The horned god again. Everybody's in on this. You can go there's all kinds of other symbols, Walmart's just one that are supporting all this. That's a picture above CERN. Okay, before we go too far into this, I want you to understand that Nimrod has many names. Okay, and the reason for this is because when God confounded the language, they each went to their own area and began to speak a different language, and they had to describe him to the people that were under them. So they used different names for him. We'll get into it in just a second. Nothing will be restrained from them, the Lord says, what they've imagined to do. But he's going to go down and confound their language that they might not understand one another's speech. You look in Deuteronomy 32:8, and the Lord talks about all the nations of the human race and the heavenly court system. It was according to the angels that were there. Joseph taught all 70 languages. He was only second to Pharaoh, whose throne had 70 steps. It was to the 70 languages, so that he could ascend up to Pharaoh and speak with him. But anyway, so that's what you get these other names: Osiris, Baal, Orion, Apollo, Ra, and there's many others. But we're going to focus on Orion, okay? Very, very interesting things about Orion. Okay, let's begin. So on December 21st, 2010, okay, this is before all the blood moons and everything, okay? A total lunar eclipse appeared over North America continent on the winter solstice. This was the winter solstice day. It was the first eclipse in 3 years. 3 years. The duration of the eclipse was 72 minutes. Okay. Additionally, on this day, December 21st, winter solstice, the darkest day of the year, there's a worldwide wobble, meaning there was notable earthquakes recorded throughout the world, all over the world. And also on that day, okay, hold on a second. My fault. So this was the worldwide wobble. Everything shook on this day. We know that or eclipses are ominous signs, but what do they mean? Okay, so 2010 resulted in 321 fatalities due to mostly the 2010 Haiti earthquake, which estimated 316,000 deaths, the second deadliest earthquake in history. Chile, 8.8. Okay, all these earthquakes in 2010, this year. Now, on this day, like I said, there was a wall. 7.4 in the Pacific near the Bonin Islands. Okay, the last time there was an eclipse on this date happened to be 372 years ago in 1968, when the first American colonies were just forming. In fact, it was the first recorded astronomical event in the United States. Okay? Come, let us build a city and a tower. Let us make a name. It's about the Tower of Babel. That year, in 1968, was also the first recorded earthquake in the United States. It struck November 9th at 11:02. Earthquake was one of the most widely felt, affecting over 23 states, and it centered over the New Madrid fault line. No fatalities, okay, but this is where it hit, and this is the exact same spot they're going to target with the HAARP machine, okay, to bring about the earthquakes. So, just a real quick recap here. 72 minutes in duration in the darkest day of the year, December 21st, 2010, of Orion. Okay, we're going to show you where this was in just a minute. 321 fatalities that year in 2010. 372 years ago, the first astronomical recorded event in the United States. Then an earthquake following on the New Madrid fault line. Orion is known as the hunter. Okay? The heavenly shepherd or true shepherd of Anu. Anu being the chief god of the heavenly realms. I thought our God was Elohim. Something's not right here. I believe this would be the false shepherd. Because Orion rises before Sirius. Sirius, if you don't remember my other videos, is about Jesus Christ. The morning star. Okay? It's always darkest before it's light. Does that verse ring a bell? Osiris's mythological wife, Isis. The constellation was known as, in ancient Aram, the constellation was known as Nephilia, the Nephilim, Orion's descendants. You see where this is going? Orion is all about the Antichrist, all about the beast out of the sea. We'll get to the sea here in a little bit. Nephilim, Isis, because Orion rises before Sirius. It's darkest before its light. Heavenly shepherd, the idol shepherd. Seek him that maketh the seven stars and Orion. Waters of the sea, dark before night, day dark with night. A light shineth in a dark place until the day dawn, and then the day star arise in your hearts. That's a very important verse. A light that shineth in a dark place until the day dawn, and the day star arise in your hearts. That's Sirius the dog star, the day star. Okay, this is important. Don't miss this. Orion's current name derives from Greek mythology, in which Orion was a gigantic, supernaturally strong hunter of ancient times. That is Nimrod, born to Uriel, a Gorgon, and Poseidon, the beast out of the sea. He's the god of the sea. Okay, normally, Ethelbert Bullinger, I believe, is on it, okay, when talking about the stars. However, I think he was misled on this. And I don't know if God just did it to show us how easily we could be misled by this guy that's coming, this Orion, this beast out of the sea. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Wait till you see some of the verbiage Ethelbert uses and how he describes Orion. All right, I think he was fooled. There will be many false Christs and many false prophets. If it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Orion, this is Ethelbert Bullinger right here. The coming prince, light breaking forth in the Redeemer. A triumphant, glorious prince. In the Dendera zodiac, he who triumphs. It's the Hebrew word for light. Coming forth as light. Orion means coming forth as light. Let me tell you, there's a false light. The constellation is mentioned by name as being perfectly well known by name and appearance in the time of Job, and is the subject of familiar knowledge at the early period of world history. Strong one, a hero, or a giant. Light of the world, girded with a glorious girdle. Prince come forth in new character. He holds the head and skin of a roaring lion. So he's thinking that he is holding Satan. Satan is a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. But Jesus Christ also pertains to be a lion. We know the beast wants to obviously have victory over Christ. They worshipped the dragon and gave him power of the beast, and they said, who is like unto the beast, who's able to make war with him? Remember the lambskin coverings that the Father made for Adam and Eve that were passed down to Noah. Then Ham stole them and gave them to his grandson Nimrod. He put them on and became mighty. I bet those skins are represented in the belt of Orion. It's a false light. So we have this lion, we have this mighty hunter, this club, okay? We know the titles of Jesus Christ, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, that the beast will, and that the beast will take a seat in Jerusalem. Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed. God says to Job, can you loose the bands of Orion? In other words, he controls him. He controls him. Fear not, I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am God. I will strengthen you. I will uphold you in my right hand. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. That's an important verse. If you understand that verse, you're well on the way to winning the fight. You're well on the way to understanding a lot of things. God controls that club, not Orion. O Assyrian, okay? When he speaks of the Assyrian, remember we talked about in the other videos how God will sometimes speak to a person, but he's really the spirit that's behind that person. He does it to Pharaoh, the king of Tyre, right? And here he's done it to the Assyrian. The rod of my anger. Sometimes this says, I think the other version, sometimes it says club in the other non-King James versions. O Assyrian, the rod of my anger, and the staff in their hand is my indignation. I will send him against a hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath I will give him charge. It's exactly what God's going to do. He's going to use this beast for his anger. All right? It's his way to go against this hypocritical nation, which is us. The staff in their hand is my indignation. The staff in his hand is my indignation. Okay? The rod of my anger. God is going to use him like he uses Satan, like a puppet. So it shall come to pass, and I have purposed, that I will break the Syrian in my hand, and upon my mountains tread him underfoot. So he's going to win. He's going to win. All right, but what he's saying is this time, he's going to use him for his wrath, to take spoil, to take prey, to tread them down like mire in the streets. Some scary stuff. Okay, I want to show you where this. Do I have it in here? I do have it in here. Okay. Nimrod was a mighty hunter. Orion's a mighty hunter. Gilgamesh was a mighty hunter. This is from the Epic of Gilgamesh. Who compare with his kindliness? Who can say I'm like Gilgamesh? I am king. And then you go to Revelation 13. I saw one of his beasts, his heads. And everyone wondered after the beast. Who can make war with him? Who is like him to him? So, just it's the same person. This beast and Nimrod are going to be the same. Now, the lunar eclipse happened right at the tip of the club. It was exactly from this star here to this star here, 72 minutes in length, the eclipse. Okay, right there is where the eclipse occurred. From this star right here to this star right here, when the moon came in to eclipse, directly over the club. A little bit clearer, I guess, right there. Pretty much dead center. From here to here. So before we go any further, I want you all to understand this. This was obviously an ominous warning, okay, from the Lord, telling us. I mean, you cannot make this up. The rod of his anger, the staff in his hand, he's going to use it, okay? The girdle, the sheepskin that we talked about, the club. I mean, he's going to be very, very, very persuading. Okay. Um, Hoping I make you sick. I told you all to get some popcorn. This is going to be a while. Okay, so let's continue on. Okay. What does this have to do with Iraq? Many false Christs, many false prophets. If it were possible, they would show the seed the very elect. That's important. I mean, you see how much studying we're doing. Okay. If it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. False Christ, false prophets, secret chambers. Believe it or not. Wherever the carcass is, there the eagles will be gathered. Jesus is saying, pay attention. CERN will open a gate. The worlds between natural and supernatural will collide. Lying signs and wonders, false Christs and false prophets. The scripture is plural. False Christs, false prophets. Okay. Do you think the Vatican has the remains of St. Peter and other apostles? Why would Satan contend with the body of Moses and Jude? Because they are going to clone St. Peter. They're going to clone, if possible, Moses. Imagine this UFO coming on this ship, and all the world's leaders from the past are here, and hey, listen to this guy. We've been in heaven. We're back to help you guys. It's going to be a big crap show. False Christ, false Jesuses. Okay, I have a very sinking suspicion that England is going to be a part of this with Prince William. False prophets, false teachers. These things are going to be coming back. All right, they're gonna, if they can clone a sheep and they have the bones of Saint Peter, they can clone Saint Peter. Okay, secret chambers. Believe it or not, believe it not. The carcasses, the eagles will be gathered. Newsflash: eagles do not eat dead flesh. Okay, they eat prey. They are prey-driven animals. So this is something to key in on. Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed the body of Moses, durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, the Lord rebuke you. Speak evil of those things which they know not. But when they know naturally as brute, what? Beasts. And those things they corrupt themselves. Beasts. We're going to see. Unintended creations, not from the foundation of the world, not intended to be in the book of the living. Satan's going to put on a huge show, a big show. And your spiritual eyes are non-existent, you will be fooled. Imagine all the followers of Jesus Christ pointing to the beast and saying, I walked with him. The beast out of the sea, the beast out of the water, the abyss, the grave, the underworld. They're real ready. These guys are all ready for him to come out. Why aren't people jumping up and down on tables spreading this news? I have no idea. You cannot make this up. Eagles do not eat off of carcasses. If they do, it's very rare. They are predators and hunt their own food. The Bible makes distinction between vultures and eagles. We're the eagles. BBC reports archaeologists in Iraq believe they may have found the lost tomb of King Gilgamesh, the subject of the oldest book in history, the Epic of Gilgamesh. Where the Euphrates once flowed, the resting place of the famous king. I believe this is why we went to Iraq. To either fetch this body or to fetch documents or both that support all this. He was buried in the Euphrates in a tomb apparently constructed when the waters of the ancient river parted following his death. Once again, another lie that's like God. Parted the waters. All right, another miracle, another false miracle, lying signs and wonders. The Euphrates parted. All right. We know the Jordan has been parted by God, and the Red Sea has been parted by God. What does Satan say? I will be like the Most High. This is just some more articles here. When it was found in April, we invaded in March. The news probably, this was probably delayed coming out, I would guess. They knew much earlier. Okay, this is where it gets good. Um, okay. All right, I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers at all. I am lucky enough that God has given me a wonderful gift. I shouldn't say little gift. He's given me a wonderful gift to study and learn, and puts it in my heart to do these things, to just really analyze what's going on. Now, like I said, all I know is what I've been shown by the Lord, and there's something going on, and I don't have the answers of how it's going on and what they're exactly doing, but there's things that you should be keying in on that should make you raise an eyebrow that something just ain't quite what it seems. And and with that, I'm going to present to you um, something here. Now, at the end, we'll discuss some possible questions and things like that. But let me show you some things. Okay. And I stood on the sand of the sea, and a beast shall rise out of the sea, having 7 heads, 10 horns, and upon his head 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name blasphemy. I'm going to get into this a little bit more in the next video about these horns and the crowns and everything else. This verse I find very, very interesting. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Then may you also do good that are accustomed to do evil. This sounds a lot like, okay, so you have the Ethiopian. Okay, back then there was no Kenya, there was nothing else. There was the land of Cush, and that would be the Ethiopian here. Can he change his skin? Can the leopard change his spots? And then this part to me sounds a lot like what God says to Cain. And may you also do good that are accustomed to do evil. Remember what he says? Do well and you will be accepted. If not, sin lies at the door. It's so strange, okay? But it sounds a lot to me like what he said to Cain, which is the son of Satan. Why would this be in the Word of God? Changing your skin? We know the leopard is the beast king, okay? Obama, 4 heads, 4 people, 4 different types of DNA, okay? This is creepy stuff, but this is what I've been shown. 4 heads, 4 strands of DNA from 4 different people. If you read Daniel 7, you will see that there are cloned kings. Okay? Briefly explain. The first year Belshazzar, king of Daniel, had a dream. On his dream, he said, in the vision at night, behold, the 4 winds and the heavens strove up the great sea. The great sea is the Mediterranean. When you Google the Mediterranean and the etymology behind the word Mediterranean, it comes up Medi Terra, which means middle of the earth. What's in the middle of the earth? The abyss, the abuso. What else is an acronym for sea? The abyss, the abuso, the grave, the underworld. 4 great beasts come out of the sea, different from one another. Now, eventually, it says that these come out of the sea and the earth. I'm not sure where it is in here. Not sure. But anyway, it says they come out of the earth as well. So earth and sea, meaning humanity and some sort of clone thing going on, some sort of um, um, cloning action going on. The first was like a lion, has the eagle's wings. Okay, this lion we're going to talk about later. And when you open up the book of the Bible's timeless. You should be able to discuss whatever's in it at this point in time. Yeah, people will say, this is Babylon back then. Well, we're Babylon now. We're daughter Babylon. We're daughter of the lion. We're the eagle's wings that were plucked. Okay, this is a reference to England right here, and this is also a reference to Harry or William. I'm not sure which one. All right, the eagle's wings that were plucked off. Okay, and a man's heart was given to it. We'll talk about all this here later. Okay, another beast. This is the easiest one for me to show you right here. Another beast. The second was like unto a bear. It raised itself on one side, had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And they said unto it, arise and devour much flesh. This is Putin. Putin has the kingdom of Russia. Russia is the Medes. Okay, you have the bear. What are the three ribs? A rib is taken from something to make something else. We are a rib from England. Canada is a rib from France. Mexico is a rib from Spain. All right, they take those ribs, we've come over here, and now we are a new creation, just like Eve was from Adam. And you have the bear, which is Russia. This beast, Putin, is a beast. He is from, if you look at his lineage, he's from uh, Vlad. Okay, so he is a clone occupied by a fallen angel. Him and Obama always going at it. That's just them joking. There ain't nothing going on between them. They're on the same team. They're ready to go. All right, they're ready to destroy this place. Okay, so they are on the same team. You have the leopard, all right, which is Obama, and the four heads, four people's DNA. Dominion was given to it. All right, and then the fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, we'll talk about here in a minute. And then it gets into the little horn. Okay, so this is all about a cloning episode of Four Cloak Kings. Well, one's different from all the others. We'll talk about that. Can the leopard change his spots? We know you saw the picture before of Obama standing in front of the dead leopard at the mural of Denver International Airport. Okay, that's not a coincidence. There's no mistake the wool has been pulled over our eyes, but to what degree has the wool been pulled over our eyes? How deep does the lie go? We have seen the false flags, and now we see Hillary stumbling, having seizures. She's doing this, she's doing that. There's so many things right now that people are being caught in, these lies. It's just ridiculous. And God said everything's going to be exposed at the end. The conspiracy theorist says she has a body double, which is now walking around as her. Is this true? Body double. Interesting. That's where we're going. What I'm going to share with you is hard for me to prove, okay? But remember, I remember shouting in my room in 2012, the beast that comes out of the sea is Osama bin Laden. They're going to bring him back from the dead. And as I thought of that, I kind of researched everything, and I never found anything really concrete, but I found a lot of evidence that just kind of goes along with it. So that's what we're going to look at. Began to dig and dig, never found the dot connection. What I'm going to share with you, maybe it's time you know. I'm going to stack the court with some good circumstantial evidence, and we'll see, what you guys do with it, what you do with your own study on it, if it interests you. Okay. The official story is that SEAL Team 6 on May the 1st, 2011 at 3:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, shot Osama bin Laden through the left eye, and then later aboard a ship, he was buried at sea in accordance with the Islamic custom. There is no Islamic custom to be buried at sea. All right, that's a lie. It's total makeup, make-believe. We're an American theater of the absurd. Sorry, why are we doing this again? 9 years ago, this man was already dead. Why does the American government repeatedly have to lie to the American people? Osama bin Laden was totally dead. So there's no way they could have attacked or confronted or killed Osama bin Laden. The only way this could have happened is if special forces raided a mortuary. Okay, Obama's first 100 days in office ended on the 29th of April 2009. This is the day he made the airy comment saying, "Finally, I believe that my next 100 days, I will be so successful I'll be able to complete them in 72 days. And on the 73rd day, I will rest." Remember our eclipse at the top of Orion's Club was 72 minutes in duration. This also would be the day in 2011 that Obama would give the order to go after Osama bin Laden. That's pretty good. That's pretty significant. Very significant. CNN conducted an interview November 9, 2014 with two SEALs who killed Obama. Oops, did I say Obama? I did. And so did they during the interview. Big deal? Not really. But when you have the Twitter feeds on the CNN website, and there was 3 or 4 highlighted Twitter feeds, it is the one feed from Jesus that stands out to me. If you continue to dig, you'll see his name, Jesus, John 20. Well, John chapter 20 just happens to be about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. CNN accidentally killed Obama instead of Osama bin Laden. And that's not even a good Twitter feed. That's not even something really funny or, it's just kind of plain. Why did they pick that one? I believe Jesus wanted them to pick that one. On May 1st, 2011, SEAL Team 6, also known as DevGru, okay, Developmental Group is what it stands for, or Devil Group, on the 66th anniversary of Adolf Hitler's death, conducted a raid in which Osama bin Laden was shot in the left eye. The code name the SEALs used for Osama bin Laden was Geronimo, and their mission was entitled Operation Neptune Spear. An emblem they wear proudly on their uniform, the trident, that has some very cryptic connections. The Ukraine flag, the Giants Maserati commercial from Super Bowl 50, or just to name a few. Okay, now I have nothing against Navy SEALs, okay? I went to airborne school with them. I've met a lot of them. They're great people, okay? But their theater of Afghanistan and Iraq is not really the best theater for a SEAL to operate, okay? Their expertise is in the water, and undoubtedly there's nothing better in the water than a Navy SEAL. All right, I humbly will say that as an Army Ranger that they cannot be beat in the water. Okay, underwater demolition, underwater operations, you can't beat them. Okay, they have the equipment, they are trained, and they have the ability. But if you're going to conduct a raid to go get Osama bin Laden, America's terrorist, why would they not use Delta Force? Delta Force does these raids constantly, all the time. Their expertise is close quarters combat. That's all they do, is enter a room and clear it and kill the people in it. That's exactly their expertise. That's exactly what they do. If this would have happened, right, what you would have heard on the news was military special operations have killed Osama bin Laden today at the local time, blah blah. There would be no hoopla love fest of themselves. Okay, now I am going to rag on the SEALs a little bit. They make a big production of themselves. They're not the quiet professionals that they really should be. They're kind of boastful. You don't hear much out of these guys. Okay, they're pretty quiet. But anyway, my point is this: they wanted this to be big. They wanted this to be symbolic. Okay, there's something more here. When you start to peel this onion back, you're going to see a lot more here. Okay, let's talk about Neptune's spear. Neptune's spear is the weapon of Poseidon, the god of the sea. Additionally, he is referred to as the Earth Shaker. And what happened on our eclipse? Many, many earthquakes. Okay? Earth Shaker. He's also called the Tamer of Horses, which I thought this was kind of interesting. That just as soon as I was doing this study, this came out. 44,000 wild horses. What's the government going to do with them? Be interesting to see what Obama does with these wild horses. In the world of special operations, a raid only takes 20 minutes, max. This is the time you put your boots on the ground till the time you come off. This is to ensure that follow-on reactionary forces don't collide with your main element while you're conducting the raid and compromise your mission. 20 minutes. This is from Leon Panetta. Director of the CIA let the cat out of the bag by noting that there had been no visual footage of the raid during its first 20 to 25 minutes, which was more than the elapsed time for the whole event. He's a big liar. Remember these posters? Why is codename Geronimo like this Geronimo? What's the deal here? Geronimo. We talk about Geronimo. There's a lot of weird things that surround Geronimo. He wasn't a chief, but he was an effective, skilled leader of raids and warfare. He was very respected by other Apache, but they didn't like him necessarily. They stood in awe of Geronimo's powers, which he demonstrated to them on a series of occasions. These powers indicated to other Apache that Geronimo had supernatural gifts that he could use for good or bad. An eyewitness account of other Apaches, Geronimo was able to become aware of distant events as they happened, and he was able to anticipate events in the future. He also demonstrated powers to heal. This is interesting. Why? How? Geronimo led his band of followers in breakouts from the reservation to the return of the former nomadic life associated with raiding and warfare. Following each breakout, Geronimo and his band would flee across Arizona and New Mexico, killing and plundering as they went, and established a new base in the rugged, remote Sierra Madre Mountains. Now, what's interesting about New Base is what was Al Qaeda called? Do you know what Al Qaeda was called? It was called the Base. Okay. Of course, Osama was the leader of Al Qaeda. Interesting enough, Geronimo ends up going to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where he dies as a prisoner of war. And he does some things there while he's there. He makes trinkets and stuff and sells off things. But anyway, when he dies, there's some um, military that are working there. One of them has to be George Prescott Bush, and they steal his skull and his femurs from his grave. His grave shaped like a pyramid with a big eagle on the top. Why? Why would they steal his bones? His bones are now safe inside the tomb and boned together well with his worn femurs and saddle horn and bit for his horse. Very strange. Why would they take those bones? To collect DNA? 322, 223, 223 genes in the human genome? Codenamed Geronimo for the capture kill of Osama bin Laden. Geronimo has an extensive past of warring against the United States. Why on earth would Skull and Bones secret society rob his grave for his skull and femurs? Could it go back to cloning? Could this be one of the heads? Many similarities between Osama bin Laden and Geronimo. The way they fought, the way they eluded the U.S. forces in the mountains, the terrain, even posing with rifles by their sides in pictures. Geronimo is also the war cry when a paratrooper exits an airplane. Does this have anything to do with airplanes that hit 9/11? Geronimo was known as Renegade, which is Obama's call sign for the Secret Service. What's going on? And it gets more. There's more here. Codename was the codename for Bin Laden, which did not set well with Native Americans, by the way. Okay, the channel I followed for quite some time is called The Groks. God Rocks. Initially, I had a hard time following this guy. I kind of freaked out. One day, I rebuked him, and the Lord interrupted me, saying, "Pay attention to him." So, of course, I quickly repented and began to listen to what this guy had to say. Here are a few things among many I've learned from the Groks. There are more players than just God, Jesus, Satan, Antichrist in the end times. There's wicked spirits that will come forth, many good as well. You have the witnesses, you have the bride, you have the chained angels, you have wickedness, you have the beasts that are coming, and many, many others. The Denver murals play an important role in showing us the things to come. One mural that does not get shown often is the Indian. That's this one here. I'm going to go over a couple things here that he showed me. The P here is for the Pleiades, where heaven's located, the eternal door, the open door that no man can shut. You have the picture of the guillotine here. All right, this is either an eclipse or Nibiru. I believe it's Nibiru. And you have this bull he's riding, which is the bull Taurus, which is the judge. God is going to use him for judgment. The Groks goes on to say that these are body parts, all right, from the churned earth, which leads to transformation. This could be the oil that the wise virgins did have and the wise or the unwise did not have. And you have this Indian, this Hopi Indian is called Mesa. Okay? Mesa, the red Kachina, or skeleton man. Mesa, skeleton man, the spirit of death, the doorkeeper to the fifth world. We're entering the fifth age, the keeper of fire. He was described as handsome, bejeweled. What was Satan? what was Satan again? Bejeweled. What do they say about his jewels that he had? Benevolent attributes. Okay, handsome, bejeweled. The stones were his covering. Remember that? The Pahana, the lost white brother, Jesus Christ. We don't know what Jesus did during the 40 days after his transformation, but I'm pretty sure he probably came and taught the Indians the ways. The lost white brother of the Hopi, most versions have it the Pahana or elder brother, left for the east at the time the Hopi entered the fourth world and began their migrations. However, the Hopi say that he will return again in this coming, and at his coming, the wicked will be destroyed, and the new age of peace, the fifth age, will be ushered into the world. The purifier, the red kachina, who will bring the day of purification. What did God say he's going to use Orion for? His judgment, right? The rod of his anger. So we have these red and purification references. Could also be tied to Nibiru. All right, at the top right, you see another eclipse of Nibiru. All right, I think it's the timing of the beast out of the sea and the arrival of Nibiru could be perfectly matched. The SEAL team that raided the Bin Laden compound was known as SEAL Team 6. But in these SEAL teams, okay, they are broken down into different squadrons. And the squadron that raided the compound happened to be Red Squadron. No big deal. But take a look at their mascot. Real quick, I want to add here that there was a chopper crash that many SEAL Team 6 members were on in 2011, shortly after the raid of getting Bin Laden. I just want to note that it was Gold Squadron that was aboard that aircraft, not Red Squadron. Many conspiracy theorists like to say that these guys, the Red Squadron, were on that aircraft. Now, I don't know if they were or not, but it says, according to Wiki, it was Gold Squadron, not Red. But that's what that says. This just goes on to say it was Red Squadron. And I saw one of his heads, and as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. All right, we're going to talk about Sargon. The best way to put this, and I just came across this yesterday, okay, but Sargon is a king around the same time as Nimrod, around the same area as Nimrod. But once again, what happened when God busted up their party? They went out and had different languages. I believe Sargon and a lot of other people believe that he was, in fact, Nimrod. And what's interesting is this word right here I came across. Sargon, king of the Agade, vice regent of the goddess Ishtar. We talked about Isis, right? Ishtar, Isis. King of Kish, Pashishu. Okay, now Pasashu. There's a religion in Afghanistan called the Pashtu, which I thought had a very similar meaning to this. Pashtu Wali, all right, Pashtu, the Pashtuns are the same as Obama or Osama. The same as Osama. They're very, very hardcore Islam, essentially. The son of Agade, Sargon, the destroyer of ancient cities, okay? Famous king of early Babylon. Assyrian. Who did we just talk about? Had the club, the Assyrian, the rod of his anger. Many scholars believe that Sargon 1, there's a Sargon 2, was the biblical Nimrod due to his association with Cush. Okay. He also had a beginning similar to Moses, being put into a little ark on the river where he was rescued. Okay. Now, you're going to probably say, well, didn't Cush raise Nimrod or have his son named Nimrod? What's funny is this guy makes a claim that the Bible, and I'd have to look, I haven't done the study, this thing's just getting so long, but if you look in the Bible, it said that he raised Nimrod and not was his father. Essentially, he was a surrogate father. So anyway, something to look at. But anyway, this Sargon is mentioned in the Bible, Isaiah 21. I don't know if it's Sargon 2 or Sargon 1, but it's mentioned. Um, and his name was baked into bricks in Nineveh. Very interesting. His empire was thought to have included Mesopotamia, parts of Levant, the Hurite, the Elamite territory, okay, which of course is all the Babylonian area. World's first emperor, Sargon. So we have a lot of references here. This could be him. And if thy eye offend thee, pluck it out. Cast it from thee. It's better to enter into life with one eye than to have two eyes and be cast into hell. This is a picture of Sargon. Now, when you start looking at the artifacts in the study here, that they say this was gouged out, probably by the enemy taking over that territory. Eventually, just gouged this out, his left eye. But who was shot in the left eye? We know these pictures are fake. I mean, come on. Who do they think? I mean, are we that dumb? Could this be Nimrod? And I stood upon the sea, and I saw the beast rise up out of the sea, 7 heads, 10 horns upon his head. Okay, more left eye references. On a Sunday Friday in August of last year, this guy paddled a small boat over the Mediterranean, and he ends up finding a statue. Human form, made of metal. 6 foot tall, curly haired bronze statue. It was the Greek god Apollo. I made that a small a. I don't know why it fixed itself again. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, Apollyon. Left eye missing. It says this one could be possibly inlaid with a blue stone. But look at that. Why is this left eye missing? Why is his left eye missing? Why is his left eye gouged out? Oh. Wow. The trident. Real quick, the trident. It's used by both Neptune and Shiva. Now, who is the goddess in front of CERN? It is Shiva. Weapon of Shiva, the destroyer. Okay, we can get into this. That's what I'm saying. These things just go on and on and on. But if you pull up a picture of Shiva, real quick, I'll find it. If you pull up her picture, she has a trident, and I hope I can find it. And here we go. That's a good one of her. Such a classy lady. There's Shiva, or guy, whatever he's going to be, with his trident. Poseidon, Shiva, the destroyer, Apollo, the destroyer, Osama bin Laden. I don't think we've seen the last of them. Okay, anyway, the fourth beast, teeth were of iron. Trident means teeth. Trident, Navy SEALs. Teeth of iron. What was iron? Iron is the angelic DNA that's going to back the harsh rule of the New World Order. The harsh rule that's going to be backed by the fallen angels to the New World Order. Trident Memorial at 9/11 Cemetery, or at 9/11 Ground Zero. Memorial is underground. More Trident. We know the Maserati commercial. We know the Ukraine, the Malaysia flights. God is screaming that this guy's coming. Okay, a couple alibis. Very cryptic video that came out in 2010. The video was called I Pet Goat 2, produced by a company called Heliofant. Many people have put this video to current events happening around the world, some remarkable similarities, cryptic symbolism intertwined in it. I just want to point out that Obama, or Sama, someone out there's, I'm not going to say it anyway. I want to point out that Osama bin Laden in this video, and he is like gesturing in a trance to the sea. Additionally, he's wearing a jacket with a CIA patch. Good for him. I wonder if he got it on sale. And there's an eclipsed blood moon above him. There's the blood moon. Remember our Indian? I don't need to scroll back up, do I? Yeah, there he is. Our Indian, Mesa, Indian, and I know you're sick. Anyway, there's the CIA patch on him. He's also got something in his beard. I haven't figured that out. Probably lunch. Anyway, so anyway, this is pretty interesting here too. Coming back out of the sea. Finally, meet Tim Osman. Tim Osman was a CIA agent sent to Afghanistan in the 80s to support the Afghan rebels against the Russians. All right. Thought this was interesting. Tim means honoring God. Osman means godly protection. This, I think, is a complete hoax. It's the same guy, just without his beard. This guy doesn't even look like he can grow a beard. But I think that they've implanted this Tim Osman theory to kind of deter everybody from the truth. To kind of like say, oh yeah, oh no, really, he Osama bin Laden wasn't a CIA agent. No, not really. I mean, it's the same picture, just taking the beard off and throwing a suit on him. There's no other pictures really of Tim Osman that I can find that's really worth anything that shows that this is Tim Osman. But anyway, it's just, to me, it's a complete farce just to kind of throw people off track. Kind of a plant, like a lie to cover a lie. But anyway, in conclusion, yay. It's hard to say what's complete truth, okay? But I think we can look at all this and say there's something going on. There's something definitely going on. Imagine, if you would, if Osama bin Laden were to come back from the dead, okay, from the sea, the beast out of the sea, how would that ignite Islam? It would skyrocket, okay? If you're to ask me my opinion on all of this, what would I say? Well, see, some things aren't clear, okay? So if they went and got a body in Iraq in 2003, how is he that old? You know what I mean? So we know the leopard has 4 heads. I've thought in my mind those 4 heads were Geronimo, Hitler, Nimrod, and Akhenaten. Now, I don't know how this all fits together, but those are the 4 heads that I feel make up Obama. What I think's going to happen is when we look at the 4th beast, when you look at this 4th beast, it's made of metal. Okay, this thing's made of metal. Where is it at? Right here. 4th beast, dreadful, terrible, strong, exceedingly, had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke into pieces. Now you gotta remember, these are kings and kingdoms. All right, so this is going to be Islam, and I believe this will be Osama coming back with like a bionic eye, and all this weird mesh and metal in his body. And he'll come back kind of like iron and clay type beast. But anyway, that's a theory. But you can't dispute, can the Ethiopian change his skin? I mean, that's just wow. What does this mean? All the Geronimo Indian references, to me, I mean, there's something definitely here. I don't have all the dots connected, but there's something definitely there. But anyway, that's what I've come up with. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's been a learning experience. It's been for me doing it. And just ask the Lord to point you to the truth and share what you find. Osama Obama the same person? Are they cloned? Is it hologram technology? There's a video out today. Today being the I don't know 20th, I guess maybe. Today being the 20th of September. There's a video out today of Hillary Clinton, like like a hologram in front of North Carolina, like she's waving to the flag. So something. Even my church pastor's a hologram to other churches, which I don't go to anymore. But anyway, so there's something definitely going on here. Is you know, Something definitely going on. But anyway, God bless you all. I'm sorry it took so long, but hope you enjoyed it. Take care.